Good afternoon, everybody. So I'm Zulfikar Mohammed, and I'll take up Indian economy. And here we will discuss the strategy to study Indian economy, and especially from GS perspective, prelims come mains. Okay, so let me introduce myself first. As I told you, I'm Zulfikar, and I'm serving you people since almost more than 18 years. And earlier I was in Delhi University. I was lecturer in Delhi University, but now I'm exclusively serving you people. Okay, so today, as I told you, we will discuss how to approach economy, Indian economy from GS perspective, or in other words, we can say the strategy to tackle Indian economy. Okay, so we will discuss few aspects. First of all, what to study means what not to study means what is relevance for prelims as well as for mains. Okay, and we will see on the basis of the syllabus of prelims and mains as well as questions of these exams. Second thing we'll discuss how to study. Means how to study means what should be the approach of learning, especially in economics. So how to learn, how to revise, how to make notes, synopsis, and including answer writing. Then how much to study? What should be approach to what extent you have to go, and how many sources you have to add. And then next we will discuss the sources from where to study, like the books, so NCRTs and other books. Then we will discuss current issues. That means what is relevant, what is not relevant, how many sources, which sources you can refer, economic survey, budget, etc. Apart from that, I will do some brief analysis of the questions which have been asked in the past few years of prelims as well as of mains. So this will be our means points of discussion today. Okay, so first of all, I will start with, as I told you, we will discuss the how to approach Indian economy for general studies. So first of all, I will discuss what to study. Now, the most important thing in this exam is that what is relevant. So here we will focus on what is actually relevant. Because in UPSC, anything could be asked, and after exam you cannot say that was out of syllabus. So there is nothing as such out of syllabus. So relevance is very, very important, because there is no dearth of knowledge. You may do research in any particular subject, but still, you have to draw a line. So this, relevance, especially what not to study, is much more important in the current context. Especially now, we are now in the in the age of information bombardment. Lot of information is there. Let us suppose if you put any means like on Google, which book should I read for economy or which study material, you will find a long list of books, maybe 20, 30 books, study materials, and various sources you will find. So the most important problem is that now you cannot study all those sources. And you don't have time because syllabus is too long, even GS is too long, then optional CSAT obviously. So here our objective is to optimize your effort. In minimum effort, how you can get maximum outcome. Okay, so relevance first of all we will discuss. And relevance, which thing is relevant and which is not relevant, from where you will get idea. There are two things actually. One is the syllabus of UPSC and second is questions. Okay, for example, if we talk about for prelims, relevant actually for prelims. For prelims, obviously, as I told you, two things are there. One is syllabus and other is previous year's questions. Now, for prelims, which is more important? Syllabus will give you better idea, or previous year's questions? So in economy section especially, or in general also, syllabus don't give you much idea. They have mentioned only few topics like Indian economy, planning, and inclusive growth, etc. Only few topics they have mentioned. So syllabus is not well defined in prelims. So syllabus will not give you much idea. So you will get idea what is relevant, what is not relevant from the analysis of previous year's questions. So this is most important. So you have to analyze questions of maybe at least 10 years or preferably maybe more, even 20 years. What kind of questions were asked? I have done some analysis. I will show you which questions were asked in the past few years. So I have done analysis from which section, how many questions were asked in the recent years. Okay, I'll show you through the through PPT. I will show you this what questions are important, which areas are important for prelims. So briefly, like the most important area, most of the questions are from money and banking, finance, money, banking, money supply, maximum questions. Then second, because on an average about 20 to 25 questions are there in from economy section in prelims. So out of 100, usually now almost on an average 25 questions are there, and out of 25 you can see at least 7-8 questions at least are from money and banking, the most important sector. Second sector is external sector. External sector consists of like FDI, exchange rate system, balance of payments, international organizations, etc. Second most important section is that section. So from that section 3, 4, 5, almost 4, 5 questions on an average you can expect. Okay, these two are most important sections. I will give you analysis in the end. So this is actually for prelims. Now for mains exam, again I will go for syllabus as well as the questions. So syllabus here is more important or less important here. As I told you, syllabus is not much important here. It hardly will help you, will give you any idea about the relevance. So here syllabus is very, very important. In mains, you know, if you do analysis of the questions in the last 10 years since pattern change in mains, so you will find at least more than 80% questions in mains were directly from the syllabus, and that is very limited. So it is much easier to handle mains exam because you can predict at least 80% questions directly. You can predict the topics, subtopics you can predict which dimensions they will ask. Okay, because as I told you, more than 80% questions are directly from the syllabus. I'll give you this analysis of these questions in the last few years. Okay, so syllabus is very, very important, and so that I think so main syllabus you should rather cram the syllabus. Just stick on your table, and then actually study table, and it should be just try to learn. You should know by heart what topics are there, so that whenever you are reading any book or newspaper or anything, you should have idea is it related with syllabus or not. Now second is previous year's questions. So obviously previous year's questions will give you idea which sections are relatively more important, but here you will get the approach, etc., depth from these previous year's questions. They are certainly important, and but you must remember syllabus. And as I told you, I will show you this correlation that from which areas how many questions, from which area of syllabus how many questions were asked in the last few years. Okay, so first thing is this relevance. Relevance is very, very important. Okay, and for relevance in general, you know, class notes are always good, because teachers, you know, they have idea about orientation about this exam. So that is why class notes are always relevant. Okay, I'll discuss that in sources. Now what to study? Now next is how to study. Okay, I will come back to this analysis. Now how to study means, so first of all, rather I will say never study. When you say I am studying, to always learn. Okay, so focus should always be learning. Okay, so don't study but rather learn. So what is difference in studying and learning? Studying means normally when you say I am studying, you are just counting the hours or time. I have devoted this much time, I have to study maybe 6 hours a day. I have studied this, I have read this chapter, I have to read this chapter. But remember one thing, studying or reading won't help unless you learn. So learning, focus should be on learning. Now what is difference in studying and learning? So in general, studying or reading means you have just read a chapter, you have some broad idea, but it won't do in exam. So it should be clear, you should be able to learn. Now what is learning? Learning simply means understanding. If you have understood something, that is learned, nothing more than that. So learning simply means what? Focus on understanding. So if you have understood something, that is learned, and understood means you can explain in your own words. And do you think once you are learning, you have to remember language, cram exact language? Language is needed or not? What do you think? So obviously language is not needed. Why language is not needed? Because in prelims you have to just encircle, and in mains you actually have to write answer in your own words. It is not possible that teacher can give you some model answers and you can cram and directly put them. No, it is not possible, because in mains questions are tilted. They are means correlating the different topics and from one subject or even from different subjects also. So you have to understand and see what exactly is asked, accordingly you have to write answer. So no need for cramming language. To focus on just understanding. So if you have understood something, that is learned. So for example, I will give you an illustration. Take any topic like, so any topic you want. For example, I will take example like one any term, like let's suppose from money and banking, I will take one term like cash reserve ratio. Cash reserve ratio, CRR. Okay, I think most of you may have idea. So, or if some of you may not have idea about this, but I'll explain what is meaning of learning. So if you have understood something, that is learned. I want to make this point clear. Cash reserve ratio. So what is CRR? Simply, it is percentage of deposits of a bank, which that bank has to keep with RBI in cash. Okay, so percentage of deposits of bank, which bank has to keep with RBI. Okay, so for example, right now CRR is how much? Right now CRR is 3%. Okay, so 3%. So it means that percentage of deposits of banks which they have to keep with RBI in cash. So in the form of cash. For example, if you deposit 100 rupee in a bank, so that bank has to transfer out of 100, 3% means 3 rupee with RBI. That is CRR. Or other example, if you deposit 1 lakh rupee in your bank account, so that bank has to transfer 3% of 1 lakh is 3,000 rupee, 3,000 in cash has to transfer to the RBI. That is cash reserve ratio. So got the point here. So CRR is actually cash reserve ratio. So which shows the percentage of deposits of bank which bank have to keep with RBI. Okay, so have you understood? Simple, because in class we will go in much detail. And I'm just explaining what is learning. If you have understood when you deposit money in bank, so bank has to transfer 3% of that money with RBI, and that is called cash reserve ratio. Like in cash, it is kept in cash, and it is reserve bank have to keep with RBI. So bank have to keep cash means reserves in the form of cash with RBI. Okay, and we will discuss in much detail what are implications. For example, if RBI will increase CRR maybe from 3% to 4%, so what will happen? So bank have to keep more money with RBI. So bank got the point. If RBI will increase from 3 to 4, then bank has to keep 4% more money. So bank will have less money or more money for giving loans. So obviously more money will be held up with RBI. So less money will be available for giving loans. And then bank lending will reduce, and overall people actually borrow and then they buy things. So demand will reduce in the economy. So if RBI will increase CRR, let us suppose from 3% to 4%, so what will happen? Banks have to keep more cash with RBI and they will have less cash for giving loans. So overall people will be able to borrow less and spend less. So spending means demand will decrease, and when demand will reduce, normally price reduces. So whenever there is inflation, prices are going up, so RBI may increase CRR. Okay, this is how it works. So I just give you a brief idea. If you have understood the term, it is clear though, and it is part of monetary policy. Okay, now you may ask, what is monetary policy? Very simple, you know what is monetary policy. Okay, I am giving you only brief idea. In class it will take time, like monetary policy will take more than 1 hour, 1.5 hours at least, because what is monetary policy, issues and reforms, lot of issues are there, current reforms, current changes in monetary policy we'll discuss. So monetary policy simply means what? So you must be having idea, monetary policy is drafted by which institution in India? So obviously RBI. RBI, Reserve Bank of India, Central Bank of India. So monetary policy, is drafted by Central Bank. Okay, and what is focus of monetary policy? So focus is to regulate money supply. So very simple. So it is the policy through which Central Bank, that is in India, that is RBI, regulates money supply in the economy. Okay, so got the point. So what is monetary policy? So monetary means related with money, means money supply, total currency and bank lending in the economy. So monetary policy means related with money. So it deals with what? It is the policy through which central bank regulates money supply in the economy. So very simple. The policy through which RBI regulates money in the economy or money supply in the economy, that is monetary policy. And one instrument of monetary policy is like cash reserve ratio. I told you the percentage of deposits which bank have to keep with RBI. So this is just an illustration. Now other terms like maybe what is fiscal policy? Fiscal policy. Fiscal actually means fisc means government's fund, government's treasury. So fiscal policy means policy deals with dealing with government's fund, how much money received by government and paid by government. So fiscal policy deals with government finances. So it may be called budgetary policy also. Okay, so fiscal policy is drafted by which part of government, which institution? So you must be knowing fiscal policy is budgetary policy. Who drafts budget? Who present budget? So obviously you must be knowing finance ministry. So it is under finance ministry. Okay, so fiscal policy means budgetary policy. So budget deals with the receipts of government and expenditures of government. So fiscal policy deals with this also. Okay, so means main source of receipt is taxes and government expenditures. One type of expenditure is subsidy. Okay, so fiscal policy deals with the government finances and receipts of government and expenditures of government. Okay, so have you understood? I think three terms I have explained briefly. One is cash reserve ratio, percentage of deposits which bank have to keep with RBI in cash. Okay. Second thing I told you, since it is a part of monetary policy, so I just explained what is monetary policy. The policy through which central bank, that is RBI, regulates money supply in the economy. Very simple. And fiscal policy means budgetary policy. So it deals with receipts of government like taxes or maybe borrowing and government expenditures. So this is fiscal policy. So I think you must have understood. So I think, can you express in your own words now these three terms? So I think most of you can express. So if you have understood this, this is learned, nothing more than that. Learning simply means this thing. Okay, but for retaining something, for now the issue is that you have understood now, but maybe after 2-3 days or after some time, some of you may forget what is this. Okay. So what is there? You need to learning is just one part. Second is that how you would what you should do to retain it for long, because you have to study the huge syllabus now, and in prelims on one day you have to recollect the entire GS, history, geography, polity, etc. So the only solution for that is revision. So learning is just one part. So first of all you have to learn. Learn means try to understand. Okay, try to think what it is. Okay, so that you can express in your own words. If you, let us suppose you can express in your own words anything, so it means that it is learned. Okay, now how to retain this? Now learning is not enough, because most of the students, they do one mistake, they learn and forget. So it means that they are just wasting their time. The only thing to retain it for long is actually revision. So you have to revise. There is no substitute for revision. So second point of this is revision. So you should remember there is no substitute for revision. And if somebody think I cannot revise again and again, then certainly UPSC is not the cup of tea for that person. So UPSC, you have to revise, because syllabus is too long and you have to do multiple revisions. And how many revisions? So mostly toppers, they say when I interact with toppers, what you did, how many times revise. So literally they told me at least 10 to 50 times. Lot of toppers have told me 30-40 times I revised this thing. So without revision, you cannot retain. So revision is very, very important. So, but how to revise? Rather, I'll suggest at least 10 to 20 revisions. At least 10 to 20 revisions. Now you will say, so it will lead to a lot of wastage of time if we have learned and then keep on revising that. So rather I say whatever you learn, at least revise it for at least 5-7 days consistently. Then maybe after maybe 15 days or 1 month. So how you will revise? So one way of revision is that is underlining. Underline, once you learn, you should underline in your copy. Okay, so as I told you, don't study, just learn. Okay, and once you have learned, underline your class notes or whatever book you are studying. So try to write as much as possible in your copy as well as the book, because if you keep your book means untouched, then psychologically it will give an impression, even you may be studying again and again, it will give an impression that it is something new for you. But if you underline, write something on book, then you will this will help in customizing that book, to the content of that book. To underlining, how to underline. Now, most important thing is that underlining process will make your process, learning process more, effective, and it will make your study interactive. How interactive? Because once you underline, you will think what is core idea and what is subsidiary idea. So your process will become more, interactive, and learning is a process of discrimination. So you will automatically discriminate what is important, what is core idea. Okay. And then when you underline important idea, core idea, you will think, okay, tomorrow I will see this core idea. Will I be able to recollect other things, peripheral things of this? So it will, then you will think interconnections will be developed. And most probably when you see it tomorrow, just underline part, you will recollect the entire concept. I'll give you a brief idea. For example, this is one page. This is one page of your copy, and you have written these lines. Okay, like this is another topic, you have written these lines on this. Okay, now as you know, okay, you have to underline only core idea, don't underline everything. So let us suppose you have underlined this part, this part, this part, this part, and this part only. You have underlined this much. Okay, now while underlining, you have to discriminate what is the main theme, what is this topic, what are the main core concept of that. Okay, so one thing is that you already must be knowing that you have to underline the core part. Now the most important thing which you have to keep in mind, that tomorrow I will see only this part, whether I'll be able to recollect this thing or not. So try to think this, that tomorrow when I will revise, so I'll be able to recollect this part which I have not underlined, this part which I have not underlined. So what will happen, if you think in this manner, then interconnections will be developed. Okay, what is this? How they are related with this? So automatically, most probably, if you will revise tomorrow from this, if you just see the underlined words, you will understand the entire concept. At least 80% you will understand. So it will reduce the time of revision. So if you, let's suppose you devoted maybe 2 hours to learn this chapter, and then tomorrow if you revise, it will take maybe hardly 20 minutes or at the most half an hour. Maybe if you have learned effectively, so I think within 20 minutes you can revise. So one is underlining, and I think it is better to underline maybe at least twice. Once you can use with pen, initially you will underline more. Once you have learned, revise 4 or 5 times, then you may use a highlighter, so you may underline less, so that just seeing lesser part you can understand the entire concept. So one thing is try to underline in your copy and class notes whatever you are learning. It will make your learning very effective. Second thing is actually, the best thing is to make synopsis. Synopsis means small, short, very short notes. So very short notes. For example, I suggest, let us suppose if you are attending any class, so in my 3 hours lecture, I have seen, on an average, I think I usually dictate about 8 to 10 pages. Okay, let us suppose you have attended a lecture, you have written maybe 8 to 10 pages. So best thing is that just first learn, underline, and then once you have learned the class lecture, then just jot down the very short notes, synopsis in 1 page. Just take A4 page, and in 1 page, at the most 2 pages means back to back, just write down the main points, means mainly whatever you have underlined, the topic and core idea, so that in one glance you can understand. Now what is benefit of making synopsis, very short notes? Okay, so just take 1 page and write down actually on 1 page of the entire lecture. So it means that you will reduce around 8 to 10 pages into 1 page, 1 or at the most 1.5 or 2 pages, A4 size back to back at the most. So just write down main points and try to use the interrelations organization. Like this is the topic, it is explained by this thing, it is related with 2 things. Okay, so try to make a correlation. Think how, and your focus should be tomorrow I will see this and whether I'll be able to recollect the entire concept or not. Now 2 things you have to keep in mind while making very short notes, synopsis. One thing is that you should use least words or maximum words here. So obviously the least words. Don't use language, just write down words. Okay. So one thing is that use least words. One thing. Second thing is that try to ensure that it should consist of at least, it should contain almost 80 to 90% of the content. Means just after seeing the synopsis, you should be able to recollect almost 80 to 90% of the content. So try to minimize the use of words. Okay, so in this, what is the main focus? So words should be least and content should be maximized. So almost 80%, 90% content should be there in this one page, and use least words so that in one glance you can revise this. So this is the best strategy which will help you in revision. Initially underwriting and then making synopsis. So remember one thing, writing is very, very important. If you will develop this, the art of writing, first making synopsis and then answer writing, so that your process will become much easier. And most of the selected students I have seen, they have good habit of writing. So this is very important, because once you write, it helps in actually that information absorb in your mind. Because even I have done experiment to sometime to save time. I think it is better not to dictate, just explain. So in that I have understood, means I have observed that while explaining without writing, it takes almost same time. Why? Because students usually don't understand the concept in first, in one's explanation. I have to repeat that. So overall time is almost same time is required. So I think it is much better to dictate, because once you write gradually, that thing remain in your mind gradually, and that is absorbed in your mind. So synopsis is very, very important. To what will be benefit of this? If you can make synopsis, so entire syllabus will become handy. Although it require commitment, lot of commitment is needed, but it will make your syllabus handy, and instantly you will revise, and multiple revisions you can make. It won't take much time. Let us suppose, for example, in entire economy, I will take about maybe 43, 45 lectures at the most. So in 45 there will be, if each lecture you will make this, so there will be only 45 pages. Your entire economy, almost 80-90% content will be there in about 45, at the most 50 pages. So in 50 pages your entire economy will be there. So what will be benefit? Benefit is that you can easily revise entire syllabus, because revisions are multiple revisions are very important, one thing. Second thing is that it will help you to organize information. What are topic, what is subtopic, how they are related. So until unless you understand interrelations, it is difficult to retain for long term. And third thing is that in mains, most of the questions require interrelations and holistic understanding. So until unless you have a holistic framework in your mind, it is difficult to write good answers in mains, because from which topic you have to pick points. Because in mains, they have not mentioned the subjects like economy, history, geography. The UPSC has mentioned the topics, and that topic may have various dimensions, some economic dimensions, some maybe some political dimensions, some geographical dimension, different types of dimension may be there. So this will help you to understand things in a holistic manner, and will help you to write very good answers. So this is very effective, but it takes some time. But I don't think much time, because even practically there's a misperception that learning takes much longer time. When I ask students why you are not learning, so sir, I'm reading on daily basis, and but since I don't have time, so that is why I will learn later. So you should remember that once the students are attending class usually I think take almost 9-10 months. If they can't learn the syllabus in 9-10 months, how they can learn everything just before 1 or 2 months before exam? So simply, if you are attending classes, make it sure to learn the same day, okay, and keep on revising in this manner. Apart from that, for learning, in psychology, there's long-term memory is called semantic memory. So in semantic means meaningful. So you will able to retain only when you make things meaningful. And meaningful means when you think how it is similar, how it is different. So learning is a very active, active thinking. And second thing is that long-term memory is well organized. Until as you properly organize what is how their things are related. This is a part of, this is topic, this subtopic, how it is related. So organization is very important to retain something for long, and especially for making it meaningful. For example, like in class, our approach will be for every topic. I will ask a lot of questions from students. Okay, what do you think? Where? So the thing is that you should think why and how. So that is important. Learning is very active thinking process. So how to study? We have discussed. Focus should be never study, always learn. Okay, and one more important point here. When you learn, let us suppose you have to study 1 hour. So how to learn? How to ensure you are learning? For example, study a topic or subtopic. Let us suppose 10-15 minutes you have learned. Okay, one topic is over. Let us suppose after 15 minutes, then don't go to next topic. Just close your copy, close your eyes, recollect what was there, recollect the points, what was topic, what was subtopic, what you've read. Okay, try to recollect and then again open the copy, see that what you have recollected, what percentage you have recollected. Maybe after 15 minutes, 10, 15, 20 minutes, do this thing. Okay, you may devote 2-3 minutes, I think that will be sufficient. Okay, so after learning maybe 15 minutes, 2-3 minutes you may devote for recollection. Recollect and then again see. Then go through that, okay, just read again, learn it again quickly, and then again close your copy and again recollect. So I think second time you will recollect major part of that. So you may do this thing once more. So it will take 2-3 minutes. Then move to second part, third part. Okay, and after, let's suppose you have to study 1 hour, so I think at least leave 10 minutes for doing this recollection. Okay, what you have studied in the previous 50 minutes. Learn in this manner, and after learning, then underline. And once you have learned, then you can make synopsis. Okay, so this is how to study. Now next point is that how much to study. So how much to study. So what is need of the exam? So need of civil service exam, you know, do you think it needs research orientation? So obviously no. So what is needed, the level, the depth which is required is that you should be thorough with basic concepts. So basics should be crystal clear. So first of all, basic concepts should be crystal clear, because until unless you know the basics, you cannot analyze any current situation. For example, like recently there is a lot of debate over agricultural bills. Okay, like APMCs will become ineffective or MSP may not be there. Okay, or farmers may be exploited. So if you don't know what is APMC, what issues are there, and so how would you understand the implications of this law? Okay, like one act is on contract farming. If you don't know what is contract farming, what are pros and cons of this, what has been the status till now, so what issues were there till now, then how would you understand the implications of the new changes in that bill? So first of all, or similarly in any subject, like it is not only in economy. For example, if you don't know the basics of our constitution, so how do you understand any constitutional issue? So the thing is that you should know basics first of all. Then from basics, you have to go to the level of analysis. Analysis of that topic, especially in the current context. Analysis in current context. Whatever issue is going on right now in the current context. This is the need of the exam. Only you should know ABC, basics, and then you should try to analyze it to the means what issues are there right now from the perspective of UPSC. So this is the only thing which is needed, the level basics plus analysis. Okay, and next thing is that how much to study, you know how many sources you should follow. So my suggestion is that use the least sources, least actually books or any kind of study material. It is a very common saying that it is much better to study one book 10 times than studying 10 books once. Okay, so got the point? It is better you can just select the best study material or book or class notes, whatever you think is best. Just revise, learn it and revise it again and again instead of going to other books. Because what happens if, let us suppose you study one, maybe you are attending classes, you may you may just learn class notes superficially, just go through the class notes, you have not learned. And if you go through the same chapter from other book, you know, it will create rather confusion. And there is a Scaife-Robinson hypothesis which says that moderately similar items create confusion. So I repeat once more, and that is technically called negative transfer. That if you have read a topic from maybe attended class note or read from book, you have not learned, you have just read, you have some broad idea. And if you read the same topic from other book, so the second reading will create confusion. Why? Because you know every author or a teacher has different way of expression. So you will be confused in that book it was just like that, here it is somewhat like that. It will create confusion, and rather second reading will lead to rather wastage of your time and will be counterproductive. But what is better way? Best thing is that learn, for example, once you have attended class or whichever source you are reading, learn that, revise it again and again. Once it is in your mind, then if you go through second source, then your approach will be entirely different. Then you will be just scanning the second book, you will be searching what is new. You will be revising the first one. Okay, I already know. So once you have learned thoroughly first source, when you go through second book, then from second book you will be just matching what you know, what you don't know. Your process will be very interactive, very interesting also, and you will be searching what is new in that. So that should be the approach. So just like I'll quote here Shiv Khera's quotations, कि winners don't do different things, they do things differently. Okay, so you have to be very selective in selecting a basic study material. That may be any standard book or NCERT or any printed material of any coaching institute, or maybe class notes. So whichever you think is best, just learn it thoroughly, revise it again and again. Then only go through second source or maybe third source to supplement. Okay, so approach is very important. Now remember one thing, कि the targets must be realistic. So how much to study means कि don't try to study too much. It is not needed, because lot of students they top in first attempt, and in the last few years, first and second attempt the students who are selecting first and second attempt, the percentage has increased as compared to maybe 7, 8 years, 10 years back. The reason is that now the approach is you should know the holistic understanding. You need not require to do research or analysis. So because if this some research is needed in every area, then nobody would have qualified in first or second attempt. So got the point? So research is not needed. So for this purpose, the most important thing is that target should be realistic. So don't study too much. Too much is not needed. I don't say you should study maybe 14 hours or 16 hours a day. Some people suggest 16 hours or 18 hours a day you should study. So I don't think it is practically feasible 16, 18 hours. And most important is quality. So I think 10 hours may be okay. It may vary, means it will vary from person to person. Maybe even 6 hours may be enough for self-study. So it varies from person to person. The most important thing is realistic targets. Realistic targets. Why I'm talking about realistic target? Because let us suppose if you start preparation and you make a target कि in economy I will study these 3 books, in history these 5 books, in geography these 4 books. So is it practically possible? Can you read means 3-4 books in every subject? Because subject is too long. So what will happen? You will study superficially, and that will not help. In negative marking you will lose rather. Okay. So earlier it was said that in prelims you should study wide extensive study is needed, and mains selective intensive. But remember one thing, in prelims also wide extensive study will not help much, because negative marking is there. Before negative marking that approach was much better, but right now to some extent in prelims also you should also be selective intensive. To some extent you can think of wide extensive, but not much. So targets must be realistic. That is very important. One very important actually limitation which I have observed, what students actually they do blunder is that they make unrealistic targets. And the problem is that if you make unrealistic target, then let us suppose you make a target within 1 month I will learn economy completely and I have to study 3 books. Okay. And whatever your daily target, let us suppose you can't achieve even half or approximately at the most half. Consistently you are doing this. So if you make a huge target which you can't achieve, what will happen? From back of your mind you will know that even if you put 100% of your effort, you are not going to achieve your target. So what will happen? So you will think whether I will put effort or not, I am not going to achieve my target. So what will happen? You will lose all motivation. This is the most important problem. So if you really want to qualify, so you should move at your pace. Okay. And rather, let us suppose if you are starting, some of you may be starting now, and now we don't have much time, we have slightly more than 6 months. So if let us suppose your pace is slow, you can't study maybe 10 hours a day, maybe even you can study maybe 5 hours, no problem. What you should do, move towards your target, maybe slowly. Even if you can't qualify in this year, no problem. Next year you should qualify, but you must qualify once you are preparing for this exam. And it means that you may study just less, or maybe 1 source in each subject. Okay. But basics will be thorough. That is very, very important. So that is why realistic targets are very important. Don't try to study too much. That is why I told you least books you should follow. uh, hardly one prime book and then one or two supplementary in every subject, every area. So that is why, as I told you, कि how much to study means कि don't study too much. It is not needed for this exam because lot of people top in first or second attempt itself. So it means that they don't do research, they don't study much books. They are very selective. Okay, and selectively you can do go by relevance. First basic book cover to cover, and then you can go by relevance. Apart from that, you know which is relatively best source. So my suggestion is that if you are attending any coaching, the best thing is class notes. So why class notes? The basic material best is class notes. The three things are there in class notes. First of all, they are relevant because teachers have idea about the orientation of UPSC, because orientation of UPSC is much different from that of universities. Because even as when I used to teach in Delhi University, in BA third year, there is a paper economic development and policy in India. That is same as Indian economy, this syllabus, almost similar. But there, you know, the approach was entirely different, and whatever we used to teach in entire 1 year, that was much lesser than what we teach here in few hours. In 45 lectures, almost double of that, with a much dynamic approach. So approach is very different here for this exam. Okay, so class notes, one thing I told you is relevance. Okay, first thing, which is very, very important for the exam. Now, second thing is that class notes are easiest thing to learn. Why? Because you have understood in the class. And this is my challenge. Like economics is supposed to be a difficult subject. So this is my challenge, that I will make you understand. If you face any problem, that is not your problem. Let me know. It is my problem how I will make you understand. Okay, so they are easiest to learn because you have understood here, you have written in your own words, so obviously it is the easiest. And third thing is that they are concise, because because how much pages you can write, how much we can dictate in limited hours. So they are actually concise, easiest to learn, and most relevant. So that is why I think if you are attending class, any coaching, any class, then first priority should be class notes. And make it sure if you really want to qualify, to whatever class you attend, learn it immediately, the same day or at the most by next day, and keep on revising. The best base is actually the class note. Then you can, as per the suggestion of teacher, you may add any book. Okay, now next I'll come to books. So which book you have to study? Now this is a very difficult question. The study material means from where to study. Books. Now in books, when we talk about books, first of all NCERT. So first name is actually NCERTs. So in economics, you know, in class 11th, there is a book called Indian Economic Development. Indian Economic Development, that is 11th class NCERT. So in this book you will find basic features of Indian economy, like planning in India, economic reforms in India, poverty, unemployment in India, infrastructure development, like these basic things about Indian economy. In class 12th there are two books. In class 12th NCERT, one is micro, MICRO, microeconomics, and other is macro, MACRO, macro economics. So microeconomics and macroeconomics. Now what are actually these are two branches of economics. Microeconomics is one branch and macro another important branch. So what is meaning of micro? First of all, what is meaning of micro and macro? Micro, you must know, small, and macro means large. So what we study in microeconomics? So we study not a small unit, micro means small, but we study individual units, means one person, one firm, one product, one unit is studied here. And macro means large. So in macroeconomics, we study economic system as a whole. Okay, entire economy, economic system as a whole. So here we study individual units, and here entire economic system. So what do you think, which branch of economics or which book is relevant for your UPSC examination? So obviously your syllabus is, we have discussed Indian economy, so important is macro. Obviously macro is important, so you may go through macroeconomics. It is not needed. Micro as such is not needed. So Indian economic development and macroeconomics. Okay, so but there is one issue in this. In economics, the NCERT don't cover much of your syllabus. This is the problem. So if you go through these books, or even no need to study any 9th, 10th, because hardly you won't find any much content in that. So if you go through all NCERTs, you will not get you will not cover even 1/3 of your syllabus. This is the problem. So coverage of NCERT is too low in economy. In other subjects like in history, geography, NCERTs are very good and cover significant part of your syllabus. But in economy, the coverage is less. Coverage, it will cover hardly 1/3 of your syllabus. I'm not saying that they are not up to the mark, they are good, but the coverage is less actually. Your hardly 1/3 of your syllabus will be covered, not even 1/3 from prelims, neither from prelims nor from mains perspective. This is one issue. Apart from that, as I told you, when it comes to books, which book should we follow? This is very difficult question for me, because problem is that no good book is there for economy. So which book should I suggest? I can give you names, because students usually want name of books. So among standard books, one is Indian Economy, Performance and Policies, by Uma Kapila. So Indian Economy, Performance and Policies. So Uma Kapila, she is lecturer in Delhi University. So this book is written for BA students, third year, final year BA students. So, but this is not very bulky. So if you want basics, syllabus is slightly similar to that of Indian economic development, but it is slightly more elaborate. So it will cover maybe 60% of your syllabus, approximately 50 to 60% of your syllabus. Although there are the other very famous book actually, which is a very good and standard book, is Dutt and Sundaram, Indian Economy by Dutt and Sundaram. But Dutt and Sundaram is too lengthy. It is, I think, about much more than 1000 pages. Means maybe I think close to 1500 pages. So now you don't have so much time you will study the huge bulky book actually for GS. So this not needed as such. Uma Kapila is relatively less bulky, maybe I think 500 pages approximately. So you can go through this book. Apart from that, the books which are written for competitive exam, they are actually in substandard. Almost most of the books, like the TMH book is very famous, but there are a lot of mistakes in that. This is the problem actually. So most of the books are substandard, which are written for, which are available for competitive examinations. So this is one very difficult question, ki which book can I suggest? This is the problem. Okay, so NCERT and this, but here I can provide you one solution for this. If let us suppose you are attending our classes, so our coverage here is very, very comprehensive. Although I take some more time, around almost 30 to 40% more time than other teachers, but our class notes are so comprehensive that you will get means most of the questions in prelims as well as in mains. For example, whatever I am teaching in just class note, just from my class notes, if you just follow class note and nothing, no book, no current, nothing, then it is sure you will be above cutoff. Because every year, as I told you, in almost more than 18 years I am teaching, and hardly there may be any year when at least 50% questions didn't click in prelims. I don't remember, maybe some year may be there, but on an average 60 to 70%, sometimes 80% questions click directly from class notes. You know what is cutoff in prelims? Slightly less than 50 means around 50%, and it is sure that you will get at least 60 to 70%, at least 60 to 70% questions directly from class notes. I'm repeating, if you don't study any book, if you don't have any background of economics, if you don't study any newspaper, nothing, just from class notes, it is sure you will be above cutoff. So what I am challenging that I will reduce your effort. I told you, just like in UPSC, they say that anything under the sky could be asked. But what I can challenge you, I can challenge that don't worry, just go whatever is there in your copy. I will reduce your effort from anything under the sky to anything in your copy. Just go through that and you can check this. You will get, and every year, this year and after exam, I get lot of messages from students, okay, sir, we got most of the questions. Initially, it is difficult to believe, okay, just class note may cover so much questions, but gradually when you will attend classes or may go through class notes, you can have class notes also from any student. So you will realize you can check the content. one thing. And mains, this is in prelims. In mains, you know, I told you questions are more predictable because more than 80% questions are directly from syllabus. So in mains, you can expect at least 80% questions directly from class notes. 80 to 90% you can expect directly from class notes. And this is, I'm talking on the basis of my previous experience. Achha, why it is so? It is, reason is that one thing is that it is comprehensive in the sense I'm taking some more time here. Okay. And second thing is that I am doing research every year when there is prelims, because I have made this commitment from you people, don't worry, just follow class note and forget about everything. You'll be much above cutoff. Okay, then I am very much concerned. So if question didn't click from my class note, what would happen? So what would happen to my students? So I have to do research, what kind of questions are asked. Should I add something, some new topics, or should I delete some, those topics have become now less relevant now. So I'm doing research every year after prelims, after mains. So we are doing this research actually for you people. So if you just follow class notes, in economy, they are so comprehensive, and lot of toppers have told me, every year, the students who select in first attempt, and some students who were whom I taught maybe 5 years back, they tell me, sir, we are confined mainly to your notes in economy. And not one, at least 20 selected students have told me this thing. We have not read much actually beyond class notes. At the most, just current updation will be needed. But I'm not saying don't study current. I'm saying if you even follow class notes, you'll be above cutoff. What will be my approach here? My approach, as I told you, will be I'll take up basics, ABCD of economics, and then I will analyze in the context of the current issues in newspaper articles, magazine articles. Rather, I will say, instead of studying books, whatever topic I will teach in class, try to go through 1 or 2 newspaper articles on that topic. Just put on Google. Let's suppose I'll take up FDI today. So put just FDI or FDI in India, go through 2-3 articles and try to correlate with that, what is going on. So whatever topic we'll discuss, put in Google and just go through that. That is better approach. Now next is, this is regarding books. I told you there is no dearth of list of books. Just put on Google the recommended books for Indian economy, you'll get a long list. But the problem is that a lot of books, most of the books which are good books, they are not written for UPSC exam, like Datan Sundaram, Mishra Puri, even this book. But this is less bulky, that is why you can go through. Okay, and the books which are written for this exam, so they are substandard, or almost all are substandard. This is one problem. Even like in TMH book, lot of mistakes are there. I wonder how actually that book is so famous and so much mistakes are there. So this is about the books. Now finally, in this current affairs. So what you should study? So I think, as I told you already, your target should be realistic. So for current affairs, I think one newspaper, only one is sufficient at this moment. One newspaper is sufficient. Whichever you think, I think at this moment it hardly matters. The Hindu or Indian Express, or if you don't like any newspaper you can go through, it hardly matters. Just one newspaper and one magazine. That is one monthly magazine. Magazine should be monthly. So and right now, like this magazines, the best thing I think, some internet sources are better. So especially the best thing I think, Vision's monthly magazine, current affairs magazine, is quite good. It is concise also. So I think just one source will be sufficient initially. Later, once you have focused on learn the basic concepts, everything, then you may add. Like maybe Yojana, Kurukshetra, don't study in the beginning. Okay, unless you have thorough with the basic concepts, so don't study Kurukshetra or Yojana or some bulky books like magazines like Frontline, that is fortnightly. So don't go through that. Just one magazine is sufficient monthly. So any one newspaper, any one magazine, I think Vision's current affairs magazine, that is available freely on net. So I think that's good because it is concise. This is one, and content wise it is good. Okay, others are also good. It doesn't mean that is best. I cannot say this is best, but there are other sources also. So apart from that, but the traditional magazines are not good in general now. Like Competition Success Review used to be very famous. Now that is not up to the mark. Okay, Chronicle is okay, but I think these sources which you will find from internet, that are better. Okay, apart from that, in current affairs, what you should study, what you should not study. So first of all, what you should not study, that is very important thing. What you should not study in newspaper, magazine. So first thing is that the company specific news in the business page, you know, a lot of news are company specific. So those are not important. One thing. Second thing, those things which changes on daily basis, like census goes up and down, rupee appreciate, depreciate, minor. So no need actually to see the daily changes actually. Those things which variable, which things vary on daily basis. Other thing, as such data, especially monthly data is not at all important. Monthly, even quarterly is not much important. Mainly annual data is somewhat important, but regarding data, to never try to cram data, but try to analyze data. Just try to analyze. Okay, why, how, what is meaning, why it is increasing, why it is decreasing. So try to analyze. Once you analyze, you will automatically remember. Okay. Apart from that, any thing which is having much technical issues, don't go in technicalities like RBI or SEBI may issue guideline for NBFCs, etc. So not so much important. Achha, what is important now? The important obviously is those news which are actually have long-term implications. Okay, like any major change in policy of government. Okay, any kind of change in policy, government scheme, or any article on Indian economy by an economist, especially on those topics which are related to your syllabus. So the most important thing is that just cram the syllabus of mains, and any topic related to that is relevant. Okay, especially those news which have social relevance to general public, those are important. So I just give you a brief idea ki which news is important and which is not important. For example, on daily newspaper, hardly I think 1 or 2 or 3 news are relevant for UPSC. Other news are not much relevant, only broad idea is sufficient. Okay, apart from that, related to some updation, economic survey is also very important document. Economic survey, and now there are 2 volumes, volume 1 and volume 2. This is very bulky, and certainly it is very important also for UPSC exam. Economic survey is a very important document. So which is more important, volume 1 or 2? So obviously volume 1 is much more important, especially for mains, because in volume 1 there is analysis and based on research and give some suggestions. So this is analytical and more important, especially for mains point of view. In volume 2 there is mainly data of Indian economy, some trends and analysis based on that data only. So this is less important for mains point of view. For prelims also volume 1 is relatively more important as compared to 2, but it is also important for paper for prelims. For mains this is most important. Okay, so now economic survey is very bulky, you know. Means one economic survey, I think it is about more than 300 pages. So it is almost, both are about 700 pages, and means pages are also quite large. So don't study economic survey as such. The best thing is that you know, economic survey is presented just 1 day before budget. So on 31st of January, economic survey will be presented. On 1st February, you know, budget is presented. So wait for some time. I think within 15-20 days you will find summary. So on online you will get summary. So you may go through any summary available. Vision also publishes summary, and that summary will be, I think, about 70-80 pages of both the volumes. So I think summary will be sufficient. So don't study economic survey, study summary. Because if you study economic survey, that is too lengthy and not much relevant for everything, is not relevant for exam. And next is actually budget. So budget is not so heavy and not so, I think from newspaper just 2 or maybe from 1 or 2 newspaper you can go through, and from maybe just 1 or 2 magazines you can go through. Okay, so maybe 2 newspaper, 2 magazine sufficient. Okay, so budget is not much. Like in one magazine you may find if they will give actually special cover on budget, it may be 7-8 pages, at the most 15 pages in one magazine. So 2 sources I think sufficient, 1 in newspaper and 2 sources, that is more than sufficient. So it is relatively, size is very small relatively as compared to economics. Economic survey is very heavy, so just go through summary of 70-80 pages at the most. So this is regarding actually newspaper and current. Okay, so this is now last. Finally, I'll show you a brief analysis of this. Before that, as I told you, especially the problem is in study material and economy, and this is really a difficult question for me, which book should I suggest? So as I told you, if you will attend our classes, so I think hardly any book is needed. Rather, I suggest if you are attending classes, then don't read anything. You need not require any background of economics, and I can promise three things to my students. One, I told you already, you will be much above cutoff in prelims and in mains, and you need not require to wait for long. Whatever topic we will cover here, after that topic, just see any question of any exam, you will know. You can solve most of the questions. In previous years, just see previous 20-30 years questions of UPSC or any other exam. You can solve most of those questions. You will get idea. Once we cover one topic, just see any topic, any question from that topic you can solve. Any newspaper article, you will understand. If you don't understand, show me that article. Okay, so one thing I told you already, you will be much above cutoff just actually learning class notes. But notes will be, I'll dictate a lot as I told you, and I'll take more lectures. So around, I initially planned 40, but maybe it may take 45 lectures. Okay, so 43 normally, but may go to up to 45 lectures. So more lectures, and I also dictate relatively more. Second thing what I can promise you is that you will understand all newspaper articles, like whichever article is there, whatever topic we will take up in class, you will understand almost all articles in any newspaper, any magazine, and rather I will be connecting with those articles, whatever is going on. Whatever here, my approach I told you already, I'll take up basics and then I'll correlate with the current issues with newspaper articles. And third thing which I can promise is that just learn class notes, not by attending classes. Just if you have learned, revise them again and again, you have understood, then discuss economy with any person who is having MA in economics or maybe economics optional. You would know where you stand. Okay, so the person who has done MA in economics or may have from any university, from even the best university in the country, okay, or maybe having MA means having optional, just discuss Indian economy issue, you will know where you stand. But remember one thing, I won't be taking up pure theory like micro and international economics. I won't be going in the pure theory because that is not needed for GS. In Indian economy, you will know where you stand. Okay, so these three things I can promise, and what else you know you want beyond this. Okay, so this is difficult to believe maybe, but I think you may discuss with previous students, they will tell you, or you can check the notes, you will get the idea regarding how much questions are there in the paper. And as I told you already, I won't give you this excuse I could not understand. Don't worry, I'll make things very simple. For everything I will give you very simple illustrations here. Okay, I'll let you think in the classes, so I don't think it will be difficult. You will understand everything. I will not give you this excuse, it is technical subject, so I have no background, I could not understand. No, I'll assume that you don't have any background of economics. Okay, so now and finally, a broad analysis of the questions. Projector. So just some brief analysis of questions. Okay. How many questions were there from which topics in prelims and in mains? So I told you relevance is provided by syllabus and questions. So this is syllabus of prelims. So preliminary exam, GS paper 1 syllabus. So in prelims, as I told you, syllabus is not very comprehensive. So syllabus will hardly help you to identify which are relevant areas. Only just 2 lines are written: economic and social development, sustainable development, poverty, inclusion, demographics, social sector initiatives, etc. They have mentioned etc. But as I told you, if you see actual questions, maximum questions are from finance, money, banking, finance. They have not directly mentioned the name as such, but maximum questions are from that. And second is from external sector like FDI, foreign investment, international organizations. Maximum questions are from that. Even they have not mentioned. So the syllabus of prelims will not give you much idea. Okay, now see the questions, the topics. The questions, maximum questions are from money and banking. So I have analyzed the questions of last 3 years, but trend is similar, somewhat similar. So you can see this year there were how many, almost 10 questions were there from money and banking. Money supply, RBI, banking, financial inclusion, about 10 questions were there. Okay, for example, briefly, I'll give you idea. One question was on money supply. Okay, if you withdraw money from your bank account, what will be the impact on money supply? Okay, briefly. Other question was on hundi. So what is hundi? And that is, they have asked in historical perspective. Hundi, which, in the perspective of post Harsh period. But hundi, I have told here, कि if one firm will buy input on credit, it will give a piece of paper that is called hundi. Okay, we will discuss in detail later. Interest coverage ratio. So interest coverage ratio means total profit of a company divided by total interest paid to bank. So because NPAs are increasing, so because of increase in NPA, this term is related with NPA. That is why it was asked. So I just give you a brief idea कि which questions were asked. Another question is related with inflation, like WPI on difference in WPI and CPI. Some statement were given, like the weightage of food items in CPI is this much, and WPI does not cover services. Very basic from this related on inflation related to this. Other question was on non-financial debt, so which is debt of non-financial sector. Other question was expansionary monetary policy. Expansionary monetary policy means monetary policy which increases money supply. So they have asked like options were like reduction in SLR, increase in marginal standing facility rate or repo rate. Okay. Other question was 4 options were given which is correctly matched: commercial paper, this certificate of deposit, call money, zero coupon bonds, just basic terms actually. And other is on one question on cyber insurance. In finance, we can include 2 questions were there related to somewhat agriculture. One is agriculture, they have asked about the agriculture credit through cooperative banks. So we can put either here or maybe in agriculture. So through cooperative banks, I have put it here. And other is on Kisan credit card. So what kind of loan are given to farmers under KCC, Kisan credit card? So we can put under finance or agriculture. So I have put in finance, so there were 10 questions this year on money, banking, finance. Okay, although 2 questions which are related with agricultural finance may be put under agriculture also. Okay, so maximum questions are from here. Then second is external sector. This year you can see 8 questions were there. This year 8 questions were there from external sector. So the questions were, one was actually which thing will reduce the impact of global financial crisis. So if there is global financial crisis, which thing will help to reduce the impact, like more forex, more foreign banks, or capital account convertibility. Okay. Second question was related with reserve tranche, gold tranche or reserve tranche. So we maintain foreign exchange reserve in reserve tranche with IMF. So they have asked related with which institution. So answer was IMF. One was actually based on some database. So Indo-Sri Lanka trade, Indo-Nepal trade, trade of textiles, 3 statements were given. Other is which of the following are members of G20. So G20 is an important organization because all major economic decisions at global level is taken by G20. So it consists of developed countries and emerging market economies like India, Brazil, China, Argentina, etc. So members they have asked. Another question was on export import. Okay, export of goods are less than our import of goods, but export of services are more than import of services. So this kind of question was asked on this. Other question was West Texas Intermediate is related with what? So it is related with crude oil. Okay, it was in news actually because price after COVID price reduced so too much, so that is why it was in news. Price became rather negative. Other is one question is from WTO like TRIMS, trade related investment measures. Another question was on FDI. So basic concept related with FDI. What is FDI? Okay, so these are questions from external sector. Maximum second. Then in the last 3 years there were much questions from agriculture. This year, as I told you, they have asked public investment in agriculture. Which of the following is included in public investment in agriculture? Other was actually increase in price of rice. Which thing will increase price of rice? Okay, other is MSP. There was a question on MSP. It is announced for all cereals. So 2 statement, and they have used the second. So it is not for all. Other is that UT and state decide, it was written. So it is fixed by center, not by state or UT. So another actually, so these questions were there on agriculture. Other one question was on economic reforms. After economic reforms of 1991, what was the impact of reforms, like on employment and rural development, etc. Other question was on infrastructure. Public key infrastructure is related to what? So mainly related to security. One question was from government budgeting. So in government budgeting, you know, as per Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act, FRBMA, three statements are introduced in Parliament. So they have asked one statement, macroeconomic framework statement is introduced in Parliament as per which act? So as per FRBMA. So from budgeting. So these are the major areas. Okay, so maximum questions from money and banking, then external sector. Okay, balance of payment, exchange rate, foreign trade, foreign investment, international organizations, then agriculture, okay, agriculture, marketing, etc. And government budgeting means budget taxation, then industry and infrastructure, then planning and reforms, then inclusive growth, poverty, employment, and then government schemes and miscellaneous areas. So these are the broad areas from for prelims. Okay, now next is for mains. So you know, the syllabus of mains is very, very important. So this is the syllabus of mains first of all. So I have divided this syllabus in 6 areas, main 5 areas and then next miscellaneous. Okay, so first part is Indian economy general, like planning, mobilization of resources, growth, development, employment, inclusive growth, these topics. So in last, you can see 5 years. So I have just made an analysis of 5 years. So in last 5 years, 10 questions were there from this. Okay, so on an average, 2 questions you can expect from this topic. Second is government budgeting. So government budgeting, like fiscal policy means budgetary policy and taxation. About 6 questions were asked in the last 5 years. So effects of liberalization. So you must cram this point. This is syllabus of GS3. I have divided into I have put headings only. So effects of liberalization on the Indian economy, changes in industrial policy, food processing industries, etc. Even FDI is also related with this, because they have not mentioned FDI, but a lot of questions were there on foreign investment, FDI especially. So 6 questions were there in the last 5 years. Then infrastructure and investment. So 5 infrastructure they have mentioned: energy, ports, roads, airport, railway, and public-private partnership. This is related with investment models. Various PPP models are there. So in the last 5 years, 3 questions were asked from this topic. Agriculture, you know, is very, very important. And in the last 5 years, how many questions were there? 17 questions were there from agriculture. So it means that usually 3, sometimes 4 questions are there from agriculture. So all these topics: storage, transportation, marketing, e-technology, farm subsidies, MSP, PDS, buffer stocks, food security, technology missions, economics of animal rearing, land reforms. These are the topics. Even other topics could also be mentioned. They have not mentioned agricultural finance, agriculture insurance, mechanization, etc. So those could be included here. And others are miscellaneous. So you can see in the last 5 years, only 6 questions I put under miscellaneous category. So you can see more than 80% questions were directly from the syllabus. Okay, so now since we don't have time to analyze questions, I wanted to do just analysis of the questions of mains. Last year in GS3 there were 9 questions, 4 and plus 5, 9 questions were there, but we don't have time to analyze those questions. So this is the broad strategy of discussion. But as I told you, if you are attending classes, then no need to worry about resources, anything. Just notes will be quite sufficient, as we will be taking up very comprehensively. Okay, so anyhow, that is all from for today. Okay, best of luck.